This video is brought to you by StatHead from the creators of Pro Football Reference. I absolutely love this product and I use it religiously to do research for a ton of my videos, and have for quite some time. StatHead is the best database out there and gives you just about anything you could ever have hoped to research. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to use. The New Orleans Saints are off to an amazing start this season, having scored at least 44 points in each of their first two games. What other teams in NFL history have scored 44 points in each of their first two games? Well, with StatHead, you can find out. I just go to the team game finder, type in what I need, and instantly I get results. This footage is not sped up. It's really that quick and that easy. Then I can click on the games that some of the teams did it, like when the Rock Island Independents did it in 1920 with a game against a team called the St. Paul Ideals. That's just one of the 1,000 ways you can use this product. But if you use my code JG9 at checkout for an annual subscription, not only does it help the channel out a ton, but you get a 20% discount. Link in the description below. So go to stathead.com and sign up today. September 16, 2024. It's week 2 of the NFL season, and we find ourselves down in Houston for this Sunday Night Football battle under the lights in prime time between the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans. For the main team in our story, the Chicago Bears, this could be an important game, even though they're not expected to win this one on paper. The Bears entered this one at 1-0, following a comeback victory against the Tennessee Titans, and with a win in this one, can keep pace with the Minnesota Vikings atop the NFC North for first place and can start the season off with an undefeated record. However, this is a Houston team that is obviously very good. They're one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl, and they were picked by just about everyone to win the division and make it to the postseason. When you enter a game as the underdog, you really can't afford to commit too many unforced errors, especially as a coach. As you can probably expect based on this video, however, that did not happen at all. But before we talk about why that didn't happen, if you want to learn more about other stuff in the NFL that did happen or came close to happening but didn't, then this is the right place for you, because we post every single day about the weird and the wacky history of the NFL. So if you like that sort of stuff, then be sure to hit that like button down below, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we post on the channel, because we post all the time. Thanks in advance for your support as we try and hit 70,000 subscribers. As for how this game went, the Bears weren't doing a whole lot offensively, but they were finally able to get something going and get down the field trailing 13-3 with just under a minute left and in a goal-to-go situation. After Caleb Williams runs for a gain of 9 to bring up second and goal to 2, you're in a really good spot. Time is not an issue whatsoever. There's a minute left and you have a timeout. You don't have to go quickly. You don't need to go 3 plays in a minute with a timeout. You can take the clock down and ensure the fact that you touch the ball last and prevent the Texans from getting the ball back. Especially since you get the ball to start the second half, you can double up and take this all the way down and not give the ball back to Houston and...
Williams fakes, Odunze couldn't hang on. Incomplete, covered by fellow rookie Kamari Lassiter.
What the heck did you do that for? There were 20 seconds left on the play clock. Now, you're going to be giving Houston the ball back with time for them to do something, which I'm sure won't come back to bite you in any way whatsoever.
As said, he's got a team record 61. Online, and he's got it!
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Chicago Bears head coach Matt Eberflus. Behold, the reason why the Chicago Bears' odds of making the playoffs are slipping with each passing day. Because this man cannot coach. Matt Eberflus cannot coach and manage an in-game situation. I ragged on him a ton last year for his in-game management, in particular, that atrocity against the Denver Broncos, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. But this was the worst coach game by anyone this season. It was like the anti-Midas touch, where everything Eberflus touched turned to crap, and every single decision that he made was the wrong one. He lost both of his challenges on incredibly obvious plays that no sane person would have challenged. He had an offense that was nothing but swing passes, which the Texans stopped each of the 20 times they tried it. He had whatever the heck this was, where he butchered the clock situation for no reason whatsoever, and ended up giving the Texans momentum for, again, no reason whatsoever. This was incompetent coaching, and if Eberflus wasn't on the hot seat before, oh man, his seat is absolutely flaming after this performance, especially under the lights on Sunday Night Football, where the whole world got to witness his incompetence in prime time. So with that being said, let's take a look at calling a play down by the goal line with 39 seconds left and 18 seconds left on the play clock is a really bad idea. With 39 seconds left and the clock running, time is not an issue for you whatsoever. If you were at the 25-yard line, different story. I have no problem with this whatsoever. But at the 2-yard line, you only have a maximum of 3 plays left. The second down play, the third down play, and the fourth down play. Barring a penalty, the rules will only allow you to get 3 more snaps off. There is a finite end to this drive and an established spot or zone where the drive can no longer continue. And with 3 plays left, let's call it for what it is. 39 seconds with a timeout is a crap ton of time. Even without a timeout, it's a crap ton of time. But with a timeout, you would have to be woefully incompetent to not be able to get 3 plays off in 39 seconds, especially if you're going to be throwing the ball on this second down play to the end zone, where the clock will either stop or you'll score a touchdown. Which raises the question, why the heck did you call this play so early? What possible incentive did you have to call the play with 39 seconds left on the game clock and go quickly? Because we're going to break it down and assume you did the smart thing and did what any rational coach would do in this situation. And that is to take the play clock down to 2 seconds and call the play not with 39 seconds on the game clock, but rather with 23 seconds. Let's say you call this same exact play, which is that slam pass to the end zone, which again has 2 possible outcomes. Either it's called for a touchdown, which stops the clock, or it falls incomplete, which stops the clock. That play took 4 seconds to complete. If you call that play and you score a touchdown, then you score with 19 seconds left, meaning that the Texans will only have 19 seconds to get into possible field goal range for Ka'imi Fairbairn. They can still do it, obviously, but they'll only have 3 plays to call to get the roughly 25 or so yards needed to get into range. If you call that play and you don't score a touchdown, as was the case there, then you get a third down play if you call a play with 19 seconds left. If we assume that play takes 5 seconds, it'll go down to 14 seconds on the game clock. If you score with 14 seconds left for the Texans to get into field goal range with the ball back. And if you don't, you can take the clock all the way down to 5 seconds before burning your timeout, where you can decide to go for it or kick the field goal. Remember that? You had a timeout the entire time. You literally had a timeout. Maybe with a rookie quarterback, it'd be a bit different if you didn't have a timeout. But with the timeout, literally, especially with that passing play on second down that you had dialed up, there is no scenario where you will run out of time. There is not one universe where you will have 0 seconds on the clock and the drive will come to an end because time expired. Even if you took the game clock on second down all the way down to 23 seconds, you're not giving the Texans the ball back with more than 20 seconds left, no matter what happens. Whether you score on second down, score on third down, or score on fourth down. But by calling the play with 39 seconds left on the game clock, guess what happens now? The Texans are going to be getting the ball back with time to drive down the field and get into field goal range, which they absolutely did, because of course they did. If you score on second down, the Texans have 35 seconds to get 25 yards instead of having just 19 seconds. If you score on third down, the Texans have 30 seconds to get 25 yards instead of 14 seconds. If you don't score on third down, the Texans can take their timeout and still get it back with time left on the game clock to do something. Either way, the Texans, with maybe a top 5 quarterback in football and a franchise guy in CJ Stroud with a ton of great weapons around him, are going to get it back with roughly 30 seconds versus the roughly 15 seconds by being smart with the clock. That's double the time. That's 2 or 3 extra plays for them to do something. That's 2 or 3 extra plays for CJ Stroud from his own 30 to get into field goal range. Why give him that opportunity for no reason at all? Considering your timeout situation, the game clock situation, and where you are on the field, there was no risk to letting the clock run down. and you decided to go quick and give the Texans more opportunities to do something. Let's go quick and give the Texans time to actually mount something and extend their lead so that we can't truly double dip from the end of the first half into the start of the second half. Great strategy and clock management. Really nailed that one, Eberflus. And what's crazy is that this is the second time in the last 12 months that the Texans were bailed out by atrocious coaching on the other side when it came to managing the clock and scoring too quickly. You might remember last year that time was not an issue whatsoever for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that Todd Bowles should have taken a 10-second runoff to ensure the fact that the Texans would have no time left to mount a game-winning drive of their own. However, for some reason, Bowles did not take the 10-second runoff. Tampa scored quickly by finding the end zone, and Houston had 10 more seconds than they would have had before to drive down the field and win the game, which, spoiler alert, they did. And they did it thanks to the 10 seconds that they would not have had otherwise. Thanks a ton for that, Bucks. Really helped out with the AFC South race. You can learn more about that decision from last year by clicking the card in the upper right corner. What makes these coaches lose their mind when it comes to the clock in these situations against the Texans? It's gotten to a point where if a team is down by the goal line or in the red zone late in the half, in a spot where it'd be advantageous for them to kill the clock, I expect them to do the exact opposite. Because why the heck not at this point? Of course, no one asked Eberflus about this decision afterwards, even though it was critical and literally cost the Bears 3 points, because the Texans are not putting up 3 at the end of the half to make it 16-10 if the Bears just did their job properly and managed the clock well. But I did love this quote from Eberflus during the post-game press conference. Someone asked Eberflus about the sloppiness on offense coming out of the huddle and the false starts and whatnot. And this is what Eberflus had to say. Take a look.
Penalties, what do you emphasize to the guys when those are coming out of timeouts? Like the offensive line, two false starts that came out of a timeout. What do you emphasize to the guys in those situations?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to be aware of the clock. You got to be aware of the clock, and you got to have good operation getting out of the huddle, and just be better there. That's all you can do.
That's right. You've got to be aware of the clock. The absolute gall and the absolute nerve for Matt freaking Eberflus to say that when he screwed up the clock all game long and made wrong decisions the entire game. The absolute nerve for Eberflus to throw some of his players under the bus when he was the worst offender by a landslide. This man is unfit to be a head coach. He is unfit to be a leader. It's like if I'm a quarterback and I bash my running back for fumbling by saying you can't turn the ball over while I'm out there throwing 5 interceptions. No accountability whatsoever. You want to know why you've done nothing with this man in charge? That's exactly why. Because the other teams in the NFC North with competent coaches are lapping laps around you and have accountability and have been for years. And you are still the Chicago Bears. Now, would the decision by this team behind me right here in the Chicago Bears, if they did the right thing, have given them the win over the Houston Texans? I'm not saying that at all. A lot of stuff would be different. You can't assume everything would be the same. And obviously, a lot of game is left to be played and whatnot. Having said that, though, 3 points is 3 points, and the Bears gave the Texans 3 points out of thin air. The game ended with the Bears losing by 6 points. So you know what? Maybe, just maybe, if they had those 3 points and everything stayed the same, they would only need a field goal at the end instead of a touchdown drive. And maybe that changes your philosophy on offense. Maybe Caleb Williams can't drive the ball down the field that long and that quickly to go 70 yards or so, but he can get 35 yards to get to field goal range. You never know. All I know is that you gave the Texans 3 points, and that was a horrible decision, especially when you did not have to do that. So what do we learn from all of this? If time is not an issue, and you have 2 options, and one option gives the other team a significantly bigger chance at scoring points of their own and answering, then for the love of God, take that option. If you have 3 plays to move 2 yards and have 39 seconds to do so with a timeout, I promise you, you do not need to worry about the clock. So you might as well take it down all the way so that you can hold the ball last. At the very least, hold on to it for as long as possible and as late as possible. There is such a thing as scoring too quickly when it comes to mismanaging the clock. And if you really want to give CJ Stroud an extra chance for no reason whatsoever, then not only are you playing with fire, but you deserve to lose and deserve everything that's coming to you. And if you're making these mistakes and constantly putting your team behind the 8 ball with dumb decision after dumb decision, then maybe, just maybe, you aren't qualified to be a head coach in this league. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not done so already, as it helps the channel out a lot, and check out my other channels, JG8 for the history of college football, JG7 for the history of baseball, and JG9 News, where we talk about all things happening in the NFL. Join me every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll play live NFL trivia for cash prizes. And make sure to join me live, as we're on stream just about every single day. And thanks to all our Patreon members and our YouTube members for helping out the channel. See how you become a member and show your support financially in the description down below.